Alright, vaqueros, it's time we talk about the Gallo. Everybody knows the Gallo, everyone was haunted by it for the longest time, and then it got nerfed, and then it became kind of just the thing of the past. Then it kind of got a little buff here and there, and finally got the biggest buff it's gotten since then. But does it stack up to where it used to be back when 250 health was a thing, and before it and the Street Sweeper got their really crazy nerfs? So let's check it out and see what exactly changed. So with this most recent buff that we got, basically it changed all the damages outside of that max damage range. So before this update, we could still 3-shot with the gun. It takes about 3 shots to kill, up to about 3.6 meters, which is great, and this is with no attachments. This gun desperately needs a 3-shot kill, so I'm glad it actually has one. It's on par with the Gracie Auto. So outside of that, it's going to take about 4 shots out to about 5.6 meters, 5 shots out to about 9.9, and then another 5 shots out to about 21.9. Now you might be thinking, wow, 5 shots out to 20 meters? Yeah, that's pretty crazy, but that's very, very hard to get, because that's literally if you get 4 pellets. If you only get 3 of your pellets to hit, it's not going to do it. And really, it's going to be hard to hit because your spread is going to be really crazy. If you remember last video, I covered the 410 Ironhide. Well, the Gallo doesn't have that super tight pellet spread, so it's going to be incredibly hard to hit anything consistently out past even like 10 meters. I mean, you'll get a hit marker, but you're really not going to be dealing 5 shots worth of damage. It's going to take at least 7 or so, and that's just from experience. So on paper, these numbers actually look pretty promising. If you compare the time to kill you can get, you'll see that with the first damage range, you can get about 510 milliseconds, or if you use the reinforced heavy barrel with the faster fire rate, someone with full health will die in about 444 milliseconds roughly. That's really nice. That's faster than a lot of SMGs up close, so you do have an advantage against most guns in that limited range up close. But unfortunately, outside of that, once you hit past that 3.6 meter mark with no attachments, that's where things get really rough. And it only takes about 765 milliseconds or 666. That's right, number of the beast. If you're outside of that in that next range out to about 5.6 meters. But realistically, it's probably going to take more like 5 or 6 shots in the range that you'll be. So it's going to be around that 800 to 1000 millisecond, or basically a second time to kill in most engagements you'll probably find yourself in. And unfortunately, it sounds great on paper, but it's really actually not that good. And this is where the video starts to get a little negative, because I was using this gun quite a bit in Rebirth, and I think it's a combination of Rebirth lobbies right now. I know that they're very sweaty. A lot of people seem to think so. There's a lot of squads that are quote-unquote hand-holding, and I'm not the type of person to really complain about that. It's a team-based game mode. You do you. It's just kind of annoying when you're trying to get content or gameplay for the gun and you just can't manage to kill multiple people. It's really frustrating. That's why you're going to see a lot of gameplay from Plunder, because you spawn in, it's much easier alone, so it's really great for gameplays, but it's just not as fun and entertaining. So I'm sorry you don't see any Rebirth or Fortune Keep gameplay. But basically, really the trick to it is staying in that really close range. Like, you really have to be super close to make this thing effective, because otherwise it just shoots BBs. It really is not as good as it used to be. Now, when we take a look at some attachments, you'll see that the reinforced heavy barrel actually got a buff, and that actually gives you about 18% more range now, which is great. And the task force barrel, which is the other great barrel, gives you about 20% more range. So because of that buff that the reinforced heavy barrel got, there really is no reason at all to use the task force barrel. It's just that extra 2% is not worth it, and you get a faster fire rate with the reinforced heavy barrel. So honestly, there's no competition. Just use the reinforced heavy barrel. That's the best way to go, in my opinion. Now, the agency choke does hurt your range by about 4 to 5%, so it's not the greatest, but it does keep you off the radar, and it is better than the other suppressor. If you don't want to rock a suppressor, I've actually been using it with the flash hider, I think it's called. It's the one that you can shoot for a second, and you still appear on the radar, but you don't appear as long. I've been using that, and actually been having a lot more fun with it than using a suppressor, so that's another good option. But most people, I will probably say, use the agency choke. Now, we also have the Ember sighting point. That's probably the best other attachment you can use. It does hurt your sprint to fire speed, but it is great because it gives you the most range out of all these laser attachments. And then for the stocks, typically I run no stock because I'm aggressive and I like to kind of get my sprint to fire speed very quick. And this is really the best attachment for that. But of course, the marathon stock is also good as well. In terms of the best class, you'll probably see people use this class the most often. Basically, the agency choke, the reinforced heavy barrel, the Ember sighting exciting point, no stock in the 12-round tube. Now the agency choke, like I said, you can probably swap that out for the flash cone 12 gauge if you want, because I prefer that since it has a little bit more range. It's not the end of the world, it's just another fun way to run the gun, so I would recommend that as an alternative. Other than that, this is probably the best class, and the class you'll see run the most often when you encounter this thing. As for my thoughts on the Gallo, I gotta say I do not like using this gun. It's just not working out for me. As you can see from the gameplay, it's all plunder. That's just the easiest place for me to get gameplay really quick, and like I said, Rebirth has just not been it for me, especially with this gun. Like, I've been in so many engagements where I feel like I have the upper hand and I should be killing them, but I don't know, maybe I miss a pellet or two, but I just end up dying so quick because these meta SMGs just are so strong that you just get melted immediately. So you really have to be like super up close and personal with this gun, which I'm okay with for the most part. I don't really like the spammy shotguns typically. I mean, they're enjoyable to use occasionally, but I much prefer using like pump actions and the heavy hitters and stuff, but it's still a shotgun. I'm still gonna cover it and talk about it. I just do not like this gun. I really don't. It's not anything like it used to be. Before, it had like this really crazy 3-shot range, which I get was a little strong, but now its 3-shot is really nothing to be super excited about, and overall it's just not very fun to use. This is really tough to use. I really don't think it's that great, and I really don't recommend it over the Origin 12. I gotta say, having to load each shell individually is a real deal breaker for a lot of people, and for me, after playing Rebirth quads so many times, I gotta say, yes, that is definitely true. So if you're gonna use it, maybe use it in solos or duos. It's gonna be a little bit harder to use in trios and quads. You can do it, but just know that you're gonna be reloading quite a bit. And I gotta say, it's just kind of a pea shooter, so there's really nothing crazy special about this gun like there used to be. Like I said, it's still gonna work for some of you guys. Like on the ground loot one, you can pick it up and you'll probably kill a couple people, and if someone has 2 plates, it'll be pretty easy. But against anyone worth their salt with 3 plates, you're probably gonna die. That's just the nature of this gun, in all honesty. So hate to be so negative about it, but it is what it is, guys. I wanted to keep it 100 with you. But that's basically it, guys. I just wanted to cover the Gallo, let you know what changed and my thoughts on the gun as a whole. So let me know in the comments below. Do you think the Gallo's back? Because I certainly don't. What do you think about this gun? What do you think about the class? Is there any other ways that you would run it? What other shotguns should I cover? And with all that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video.
5-4.